win, yet the money and the support is coming for On Tompour too.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's the strongest form Black Line produced. He won an RSA last time out. He's had a really good season over fences. He won a Towton Novice Chase in desperate conditions at Wetherby, but he backed up well at Cheltenham. It looked a very strong RSA beforehand, but you can pick holes in it, can't you? You can say more of that bled. No More Heroes, unfortunately, is no longer with us because of a bad injury. So, how strong a race it was that day, but he's run okay around here in the past as Black Line. He's fourth in the Sefton last season, and he brings some strong form into it.
And he's a real tough warhorse, Black Line. He always seems to give his running. You only need to look at his form figures to see that. Barring one time when he fell, he's run really creditably with 3 wins next to his name already this year. He was a talented hurdler. He's made up into a really smart chaser. We've touched on Wilder Frank. We haven't touched on Native River yet. Now, I'm not convinced he'll win this race. He might very well be the next Earth Summit and win about 8 Grand Nationals on his way to glory here at Aintree in years to come, because this horse needs every inch of 3 miles, 1 furlong, and ideally probably needs about 5 miles, given his run style in the park.
Yeah, and the run in the 4 miler backed that up, didn't he? Where he had cheap pieces on for the first time. He got outpaced, then he ran on. He was strong at the finish, but that was 4 miles. So will he be quick enough for what is basically 3 miles one round here? There's got to be a doubt. He's got Richard Johnson on his back for the first time. He's talented. He's rated 149, but you just wonder, a bit like in the Feltham at Christmas at Kempton, whether things will happen too quick for him.
The characteristics that have made Richard Johnson such a good jockey through the years, and champion jockey this year, of being aggressive, bold, fit, athletic, brave at his fences, will suit Native River, I think. He won't allow Native River to doss or think or get at. He'll really be at him all the way through. I think it's a combination that could work well. We'll find out in a moment whether it does. Henri Parry Morgan comes from far humbler beginnings than most of his rivals in this race, but on the evidence of his last 2 wins, it's no surprise to see him have a crack in this grade.
Well, he's going up the ranks, isn't he? Tongue tie seems to have helped him. He's won a couple of novice handicaps off 1-2-2 and 1-3-5, and he's won both of those emphatically, but he's 149. Is he realistic, a 1-5-4-9 horse? We're about to find out, but he's earned a crap because he's had 2 wide margin wins at Uttoxeter and Chepstow, essentially stamina sapping tracks.
Lee Westwood will be teeing it up in the Masters soon in Augusta. Perhaps he's watching this on Racing UK anywhere. Ballyalton at 20-1 might just be a little bit underestimated.
Well, because he hasn't tried 3 miles too many times, has he? He fell in the Reynoldstown over the trip. He won a point-to-point for Colin Bow over the distance, so he's unexposed over 3. You wouldn't have thought his form in the novice handicap at the festival would be quite good enough. He beat Bouveril by half a length, who was a well-beaten 4th here yesterday. If you revert to his hurdles form behind Faheen, he's got a chance.
Well-back favourite here is On Tompour 2, a fascinating renewal of the Betfred Mildmay Novices Chase. On Tompour 2 taking on Black Line, Native River et al. Called home by Stuart Machin.
And they walk in. And they're off for the Grade 1 Betfred Mildmay Novices Chase. Shortish run to the first of the 19 fences. Native River in the noseband and a Targo Trail away to the left as they skip out over the first, split by On Tompour 2 in the centre, an orange jacket. Then Henri Parry Morgan, yellow cap, to out Sam Black Line, red jacket. Ballyalton extreme left and Roi Franc. And fence 2 is the first of the ditches, and they've all handled it neatly enough. Slightly longer run now between fences 2 and 3. And Native River under Richard Johnson taking his drop back in trip, and then finished second in the 4 miler at the festival. The early leader to On Tompour 2, a Targo Trail on the near side to Henri Parry Morgan. Then the RSA Chase winner Black Line without Sam against the rail. Roi Franc in the maroon jacket, and Ballyalton stepping up in trip towards the near side in the hands of Brian Hughes, and now just tugging his way up into a midfield position. 2 circuits then of the Mildmay course ahead of them, and they race away towards the first of a quartet of fences in the back straight. Native River allowed to dominate early on to On Tompour 2, wide of Henri Parry Morgan. Pretty much a line of 3 in behind from the rail across, out Sam, Black Line and Ballyalton, and then Roi Franc and a Targo Trail, who jumped off handily, has drifted back to the rear of the field, but in truth is no more than 6 lengths off them as they close in on the 4th. Native River draws to it just ahead of On Tompour 2. It wasn't as quick through the air as his rival. 2 lengths up on Henri Parry Morgan, and then Black Line and Ballyalton. Roi Franc held up without Sam against the rail and a Targo Trail. Over the 5th they go. Native River again jumping soundly. Not so there Roi Franc, who snatched at it and was coming down as the fence was still coming up. Now another open ditch. Native River from On Tompour 2, leading pair jumping well. On that occasion, Roi de France gave it plenty of daylight, and he's still towards the rear of the field. Now the last in the line in the back straight, Native River, and on Tom Portu, matching strides. Out Sam, a little clumsy on that occasion. Sheepskin noseband right down on the inside. Into the turn they go, and they've completed round about the first mile of the race now. So a third of the contest behind them in this Grade 1 prize. And Native River and Richard Johnson still leading up to, and Tom Portu and Tom Scudamore sitting at his quarters. Henry Parry Morgan, yellow cap third, and then Black Line in the centre. Out Sam the inner. Ballyalton wide, and wider still Otago Trail, who belted that, was down on his nose and did well to keep his feet, but he's pretty much knocked him out of the contest. Roi de France jumped past him, and Otago Trail has indeed been pulled up after that jolting blunder. The others complete their first circuits and turn now to face fence 9. Native River from on Tom Portu, orange jacket still sitting close up. Then Henry Parry Morgan. Black Lion took off and landed in 4th. Just ahead of Ballyalton. Reminders in rear for Roi de France. Out Sam still covered up on the inside. Another ditch looming large. Native River has his mind made up for him, and he responds with a big leap there. Rather ballooned it too clear to Tom Portu. Black Lion under Ryan Hatch has edged his way into 3rd ahead of Henry Parry Morgan. Ballyalton on the near side. Out Sam the rail, and Roi de France back firmly in touch with the rear of the field after that Leithner. Closing in on fence 11 with still over a circuit ahead of them. Native River, again Johnson positive, and Native River responds with another good jump. And Tom Portu heading the chase. Under the judge they go, and into the paddock turn. Native River from on Tom Portu, and then Henry Parry Morgan and Black Lion exchanging positions once again. Brian Hughes still sitting quietly on Ballyalton green jackets, without Sam right around the inside. He's saved every inch of ground so far. And the hooded first time Roi de France remains last of those that remain, but he'd be no more than 5 or 6 lengths off the pace-setting Native River. Back down the far side, on towards fence 12 they go. Native River and on Tom Portu. From Henry Parry Morgan, Black Lion, Ballyalton. Out Sam on the near side of Roi de France, and Native River just tickling the top of that one. And Johnson has to bustle him away from the landing side to maintain the lead. Administers a reminder, and Tom Portu still sitting quietly right on his quarters. Then Henry Parry Morgan, Black Lion in the centre, red jacket. Ballyalton out wide, jumping well there from Out Sam and Roi de France, and on now towards the penultimate ditch of fence 14, with still over a mile to travel in the Mildmay. Native River, Johnson aiming to make the best use of his stamina, upping the ante. Slight error in last place there from Roi de France. So to the final fence on the far side they go. This is 5 from home. Native River on Tom Portu. Henry Parry Morgan brushing through the top. Now Sam made quite a serious error there. He was perhaps just beginning to feel the heat at the time, but it's knocked him right back into last place. Passed by a pushed along Roi de France, and up ahead Native River has now got a whole host of potential challengers. On Tom Portu, Black Lion, Henry Parry Morgan down the inner, and Ballyalton caressed into it out wide. 4 out Native River. Lands a length clear. On Tom Portu is still right on his tail. Henry Parry Morgan next door to Black Lion. They've been hunting together throughout. Ballyalton is just a length away in 5th place, and 4 lengths would cover them as they turn their heads for home and face the 3rd last. Johnson is now crouching low on Native River. Scudamore shakes up on Tom Portu to challenge. Black Lion delivered. So too Henry Parry Morgan, yellow cap. Ballyalton, can Hughes nurse him into it? Now down towards the 2nd last they come. Native River, Henry Parry Morgan. Black Lion on Tom Portu, shuffle back to 4th. Still Native River trying to fend off all the challengers. The long run down towards the last. Native River finding a bit more for Johnson's urgings. Henry Parry Morgan and Black Lion are chasing from Tom Portu and Ballyalton. Native River on the run down to the last is 3 lengths clear. Henry Parry Morgan is still giving game chase. Native River needs a good jump, gets one. Spring Hill still 3 lengths ahead of Henry Parry Morgan and Black Lion, and Native River has made just about every inch here under a positive front running ride from Richard Johnson. It's Native River who wins the Mildmay, and it's a great week for Colin Tizard. Henry Parry Morgan is 2nd, Black Lion 3rd, and Tom Portu are back in 4th.
A dream season and a dream entry continues for Colin Tizard on the back of the success of Q Card in yesterday's Betfred Bowl. Native River has been given a superb, aggressive make your mind up ride by Richard Johnson. It's a combination that has been seen to such good effect here in Liverpool, and they've got the job done. And as every horse one by one fell by the wayside, Richard Johnson kept asking, Native River kept delivering, and he has run out a convincing winner of the Grade 1 Betfred Mildmay Novices Chase. Second behind Manella Rocco in the 4-miler at the festival, dropping back in trip today, which many thought wouldn't suit. Probably except Colin Tizard. This horse has delivered.
He has, yeah, he's just kept fighting them off, hasn't he? Different tactics today, much more positive ride. Richard Johnson, he came off the bridle about halfway down the back on the final circuit, but he kept on responding all the way on. From that point onwards, his jumping was excellent, and he sealed it with a spectacular jump at the last.
I think those were shots of Ryan Hatch on Black Lion, and there were 5 in with a chance. Native River and Tom Buttu, Henri Parry Morgan, Black Lion and Ballyalton all had a chance, and barring 1 or 2 scratchy jumps, Native River's mind was made up by Richard Johnson, and throughout he was big, bold, aggressive at his fences, and it's really paid today.
He has, yeah. His jumping was really good, as it had been at Cheltenham last time out, fitted with the cheek piece his first time on that occasion, back in trip, but as I say, more positively ridden. He's kept responding all the way from this point onwards, and he couldn't find too many excuses. Untemps Portu was well positioned. He was tame really from the third last onwards. You know, he just dropped out of contention